I'm Heather from Here Booktubes, and today is Morally Gray Characters Romance Recommendations. I was thinking, oh, I've already done that, but let me see if I have enough since the last time I filmed this video. And I've never filmed this video. I have villain romance recommendations, anti-hero, jealous and possessive, alpha, all of these ones, but not morally gray. So some of these you'll be familiar with if you watch my channel frequently, but I will try to get you to read them based on different aspects of the book, and then others I really haven't talked about much at all. So I have a lot today, so I'm going to jump right in. The first one is Erin's Patience by Tiffany Peterson. This is a interracial second chance secret baby romance. So she had twins, I think, and he never knew about it, and there's a lot of hurt on both sides. When he finds out that she has his children, he tells her she either has to get married to him or he's going to take custody of the children. And he's really rich, he has stuff on her, like he will get custody, and she is terrified of losing her kids, and so she agrees to get married to him. And, you know, they were each other's one true love, all of the things. I do not like second chance. I do not like secret baby. I loved this. It was the perfect jealous, possessive, completely morally gray alpha that I wanted. I really liked their dynamics. I liked the communication that happened in the relationship and the way that it progressed. It went from just being like, wow, absolutely the worst, to yeah, I'm glad you guys are together. And I just really loved it. This is also a librarian main character, and I really liked it. Then I have Reaper's Property, which is Reaper's MC #1 by Joanna Wylde. This was my first ever motorcycle club romance years and years ago, and he pays her debt, and by her debt I mean her brother's debt to his motorcycle club. He pays the balance and takes her. He had originally been like dating her, and she didn't know anything about motorcycle clubs, and he asked her if she wanted to be his old lady and wear his cut, which is like a huge deal, and she like threw it in his face. Like, she was offended, she didn't know, he didn't bother to explain, and then he comes back and takes her as debt payment, as collateral, because her brother, it's that or her brother gets beat within an inch of his life, you know, or worse. So he's like, you know, this is what you would have had if you were my old lady, and this is what you get now. And it's quite the captor-captive, but you can't actually escape because then your brother will get killed dynamic. And also, I don't know if you know about motorcycle club romances, but motorcycle clubs, they have road names, and his is Horse, and when I tell you, it is hard to get over that in the beginning, but she made it work. I got on board. Then I have Truly by Carmel Rhodes. This is another interracial relationship, and the racial dynamics are never really talked about in this, but there's a big content warning. Our love interest essays the main character on page at the beginning of the book, right? And then it goes from that into kind of dubious consent, into kind of consensual non-consent. There's a lot of factors, but that's the point of the book, right? He essays her the night of their high school graduation. And so it's the summer between high school and college, and they're on a road trip with their best friends, and it's just a very interesting book. Because I like consensual non-consent, I really liked the dynamics of the couple, like I just did. But obviously, if that's not what you're expecting going into the book, then I don't think that there's any way that you could like this book. Like, you need to know that that's what the story is. So, dark new adult romance essay on page between the main couple, but I really liked it. Then I have Iron Widow by Zhao. This is a young adult fantasy, but they really wanted to write it as adult, and they kind of made the market as young adult, so it's higher young adult. And this is where the main character, the love interest, and the other love interest, they're all morally gray. They're all a little bit villains, and they very much are willing to do whatever it takes for their own survival and their own power. And it is revenge and vengeance and down with the patriarchy, and, you know, let's kill the people who have ruined our lives and ruined our people, and it's great. I cannot recommend it enough. The hype is very prevalent for this book, and I personally think that's really deserved. Then I have Little Dove by Layla Frost. I know I talk about this all the time. It's a comfort read for me. It's my favorite Daddy Kink book. It's Captive Captor, huge age gap. He is just obsessed with her and she's obsessed with him, and they will do anything for each other, and they treat each other really well, and their dynamic is very jealous and possessive and dark, and this is arguably so many red flags and such a problematic thing. Like, you would never advise anyone to be in this relationship, and yet it worked so well for me. I loved everything about them. They could have gone farther and I would have been okay. Like, I just was on board for the whole thing. So, questionable, but definitely morally gray. He kills her father in front of her and then takes her instead of killing her. So there you go. Then I have The Woman in the Trunk by Jessica Gadziala, and this is a mafia romance, and this is a mafia romance where the hero is not the head of the mafia, so he's taking orders, and he's supposed to kidnap this woman, and he puts her in the trunk of his car, and he keeps her captive in his apartment, and they eventually have a romance. She tries to kill him a couple times. He kidnapped her. He can't let her go or anything. He's not in charge, and it's quite interesting. I really liked the way that this played out. You kind of have a main character who rescues herself, and it's great. It's definitely on the darker side. Their relationship is questionable. They're killing and kidnapping, but done in a way that I love. So... Then I have The Hitman by Katrina Jackson. This one is another interracial romance. That's kind of wild to me how many I have on here, because I don't feel like I read very many. But you have an Italian hitman who is on vacation in Italy. He's from Italy, but he's there to, you know, lie low for a little bit. And you have this woman who is crying in the room next to him. And then she sees people trying to kill him and him killing other people, and they go on the run together. And yeah, he kills a few people, which is arguably not like the best morals, but I feel like I personally was rooting for him, so there you go. And I have Run, Posy, Run by Cate C. Wells. This is a mafia romance between a psychopath and his longtime girlfriend, who he gets a video of her cheating. It's revenge porn, and he kicks her out. And then he's mad that he didn't just kill her or torture her or whatever, so he tries to get her back, and she's disappeared. There's this cat and mouse game. He really likes her mind, and they go from him not having any feelings for her to him having a feeling for her, and I love it. It's my perfect dark romance. I love everything about it. It started my Cate C. Wells obsession. He does kick her out kind of violently, and then does capture her, throw her in a trunk, kidnap her back to his house, and keep her captive there. So, and also it's just like, I'm not gonna love you. It's interesting. It's quite interesting. It's also really interesting how he doesn't have the normal buttons that everyone else has, and people can't mess with him the same way, but they can mess with him through her. It's good stuff. Then I have Maybe One More Time by Christina C. Jones. This is a marriage in trouble. He kidnaps his wife on vacation so that they will work things out. There's a big content warning for miscarriage, because that is kind of the catalyst of all the problems in their marriage. So it's not unpaged, but they're very much still going through the grieving process, and that has driven them apart rather than bringing them together, and that's something he wants to fix. He doesn't want to lose his wife, and she doesn't want to lose him either, but she just feels like they've reached a point where there isn't any other option. And it's great. It's one of the darker Christina C. Jones that I've read. It's arguably my favorite Christina C. Jones ever. It's a novella, and I just literally love everything about it, but especially the hero and the way he treats the main character. It's so good. Questionable morals. He was definitely a gangster back in the day, and is more than willing to kill people for his wife. but it's sweet, you know? Then I have Unhinged, which is Necessary Evils #1 by Onley James. It's a male sociopath romance where he kills people, and he killed this guy's dad, and there's big content warnings for, hello babe. Okay, so he kills a guy that's involved with child trafficking and all the things that happen with that. So big content warning for all of that. It's thematically throughout the whole book. It's a big part of the book. You can't just skip it if you don't want to have it present. It is the book. But the sociopath just like locks on to this guy when he's confronted by him, and obsession, instant obsession. Like, he is his person, and it is so good. Sociopaths were adopted by a billionaire who was like running a social experiment, and it's just fascinating, but it's also like the perfect level of dark romance sociopaths that I like. I like that obsession. It works so, like, it's my jam. It's what I like. I will say that I don't like forcing people to come out in order to write identities or anything like that, but this is a female author who writes like all male books, so that's a little bit of a red flag for me. So just I like to let you know that that's what it is. And then lastly, I have Bass-Ackwards by Eris Adderly. This one is very taboo, very morally gray. So let's just get into the things. Okay, you have a small business. I can't look at you while I tell you all the things. You have a small business and a boss who has always had a thing for his employee, but that's never going to happen, and she really wants the day off, and he's like, okay, you can have the day off if I can have sex with you. And he figured she would say no, and she didn't, and then it progresses to other stuff as well, and then it progresses to like a regular thing, and then you finally get in his head and he's like, great, now I'm never gonna have a relationship with her. And I was just like, what? The beginning is just wild, like in your face. This is not good consent. But it did like progress to them kind of having a sweet romance, and I was just like, what is happening right now? It's wild. I've heard people absolutely hate this book. I feel like you need to know the things. So they have sex in the back of the office there so she can have Friday off. Is it morally ethical? No, it is not. Is it morally gray? It's more dark than gray, but yeah. So there you go. Those are my morally gray romance recommendations. Have you read any of these? Will you read any of these? Did I convince you to read any of these, or did I do a really poor job of explaining why you may like these books? I don't know. I kind of feel like I did not do a good job of pointing out why they were good, but that's what I've got for you. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.